Then I'll just sit here. I changed my sign out to say merry and bright. I started to run out of sayings. I didn't know what to put behind me. Every day has been something different.
This
Uh,
one is nice as well.
All right. And we are live. Welcome back, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for the final day of DFIRmas. We made it 12 whole days. So I am joined here with Ali from Cyber5W. If you can just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about how you got into digital forensics.
Hi, everyone, and thank you, Amy, for inviting me. My name is Ali Hadi, and I'm currently the co-founder at Cyber5W. I'm also the research director at the Leahy Center for Digital Forensics and Cybersecurity. I'm an associate professor and the program director for the Computer and Digital Forensics program at Champlain College. I hold a degree in I hold a PhD, a master, and a bachelor, all in computer science related fields. I have probably more than 20 technical certificates or industrial certifications as well. I've been teaching, and I worked in the industry for 15 years, probably, then transitioned to academia. Uh, and I also was kind of teaching while I was in the industry, whether teaching my team, etc. What else? I've spoken at probably all of the digital forensic conferences, but I do want to add more to the resume. And yeah, that's probably about it for about me. How I got into digital forensics, I would say it was by kind of coincidence or chance or something like that, by luck, because I was invited to teach. I was invited to teach a course at a college at the master degree level for offensive security, and then after that, the college, the university told me, "Hey, we have this digital forensic course. Would you be able to teach it as well?" So I told them, "Give me the syllabus. Let me look at that." So when I looked at the syllabus and the content, uh, it was a lot of what was in there. That's a long time ago. A lot of what was in there were things I really have already done or I used to do at work, like doing a lot of investigations, checking out why did we find like a log attempt over here? Why did we find a user being added to this system? Stuff, things like that. So I already know, I've already done this. I just didn't know it was called digital forensics. So I accepted I accepted to teach the course, and probably it's just started from there. That's probably back in 2008 or 2006. I don't really remember even by now. It's a long time ago.
I love that story, your whole journey. That's awesome.
Thank you.
So you speak at a lot of different conferences. Do you have a favorite conference or one that you went to this past year that stood out to you?
There's a lot of favorite conferences. Definitely, I would say my top favorite, with all respect to everyone else, nothing against them, is just probably it was it was also probably my first one in the US. Is always DFCon, and I wish that conference comes back. If Brian is hearing me, Brian, bring that conference back. The conferences I went last year were a lot of them, but I would say I was surprised with techno. I never knew about it, thanks to Jessica, who really told me, "Hey, why don't you go and present or talk at techno?" I said, I don't know about techno." So yeah, techno was amazing in my opinion. One of the best. Also, the one in maths, the NCCC one. Yeah, last. Or I mean, this year. It was. We still didn't get into 2024 yet. A couple of days left. So yeah, it's still this year. It was the one in the NCCC, the National Computer Crime Conference. That was also a really good one. I really enjoyed being there, and also I presented, and even our students presented over there.
Awesome. Yeah, we love techno. I feel like we love all conferences, right? Because we just get to interact with everyone there. But techno, there's something special about the energy that goes
Mhm.
into that conference. So we weren't sure as it used to be held at Myrtle Beach, so we weren't sure when it moved to Williamton if it was going to be the same level, and it definitely didn't disappoint. I actually liked it better in North Carolina. So it was a really, really nice. Um, awesome. Well, are there so as people are going into digital forensic, like looking in or maybe even advancing their careers into digital forensics, is there a specific knowledge area do you think that they should focus on?
Operating systems. So if I just throw it like that, OS, in my opinion, is the number one important topic or subject people need to get into. And when I say OS, by the way, I don't mean just like Windows or Linux on those. No, the details behind how these systems work, and that also when you go look at like even pull a book from a shelf and look at the contents of the books, or even like look at top universities and what are the like the topics which are in operating systems, you'll find out that it's not just really about, let's say, running the system. It's also about like the lower level details like file systems, how processes work. So if we want to do, let's say, later on malware analysis or any kind of analysis about process behavior, learning about those at the OS level is great. If you want to do file system forensics, also learning about how file systems, what are file systems, how do they kind of allocate your files, store them on your disk, all those kinds. So it's really not, people just, when you say OS, they think when you throw that out, it's how the system is working. But I don't mean that. I mean, there's a lot of subjects within operating systems that all will help you with your career. And actually, I have a funny thing. Probably it's probably funny. I don't know, but in the past, I was teaching mostly cybersecurity and operating systems. So the college told me at that time that, hey, Ali, you have to pick side. Either you teach, because there were other professors wanting to teach them. So you either teach cybersecurity or you teach the OS. And everyone knew what I'm going to pick because I'm kind of like a huge fan of cybersecurity, and that's kind of what I like do on a daily basis, etc. So they thought I'm going to pick cybersecurity, and I I actually picked operating system. So they were shocked. Hey, why did you pick this? And I told them picking this is just really a way because this topic is very important, and I just want to guarantee that students, once they go through this course, later on, whatever they decide to do, they don't have to do cybersecurity. It's up to them. But later on, it will do like it will change a lot in how they look at systems and how they look at computers in general. So uh, that was a funny thing to do, probably.
So in terms of offensive security and digital forensics, what one do you prefer? What one do you like
Uh,
better?
that's, by the way, what's driving me crazy. I prefer both of them. Yeah, I try to stay on both sides. I definitely am leading a lot of digital forensic stuff, but I do like like on my free time, if I do have free time. But I try to like stay probably sleep less just so I can stay on the other side and learn about continue learning about offensive security.
I feel like the lack of sleep is something our whole industry knows about. There's something wrong with us. We're all like caffeine addicted. Just exactly. I have mine too. It's like three of these a day. It's obnoxious. But so what do you think about emerging technologies and methodologies that are coming out in 2024?
I don't think that probably like there is something new gonna come out, but I think three of the main so three main things. One is cloud. It's very clear. Everyone is moving to cloud, and there's a lot of cloud services out there. Uh, Probably for many people, cloud is just a box, but not in my basement somewhere else. So I don't know. That's a kind of area which is still being explored, and I'm sure there's a lot of research that's going to come out, a lot of tools, a lot of new great ideas. So I think cloud is one. IoT definitely. A lot of people, excuse me, a lot of people don't realize how many devices we have nowadays connected at home, at work, even like with you in your pockets, like with those tags and all of that. All of those are generating data. And where is that data going, or what is it being used, and who's using it even? That's a lot of things. And I'm glad, by the way, that thanks, like a shout out to the NCFI or Secret Service for uh, we have probably one of the biggest IoT forensic labs in the US, probably even in the world, I would say. And we've done a lot of research on cloud, sorry, not cloud, I mean on IoT devices, and on lots of different devices that you might even not think about. So I'll shout out to them for the support. Without them, we probably wouldn't be able of doing this. So IoT is a huge area. And finally, in my opinion, AI is doing a lot of crazy stuff. Like uh, it's doing a lot. AI is doing a lot. How is it going to be used? How like is AI going to be used even to like later on modify things? Is it going to be used to kind of, let's say, change how evidence looks like, or how, where are we going to find these evidences if let's say someone goes in and does some modifications to these AI systems, are we going to be able to find them? So think about the engine behind these chat GPT or whatever. Think about the engines behind them. If someone is capable of getting in and changing those engines to suit whatever narrative or whatever reason, that's going to be a very complicated thing, first to detect and then to kind of investigate by itself.
That's also a really disturbing thought process
Mhm.
to think about, like, what could happen, right? I think that's something that all of us analysts go through, practitioner-wise, like, what's the worst case scenario that we can think through?
Yeah, like now probably like the when people have fun and say the war against the machine thing, and the machine, and now when you ask ChatGPT, are you going to declare war on us, it says no, I'm just a system to kind of respond to your messages. But imagine if someone was capable of modifying that system to really declare war against the humans. I mean, war
No.
against the humans, that would be crazy.
It's like a sci-fi movie waiting to happen. No, thanks. So what is
Mhm.
one of the, most interesting IoT devices that you've, researched?
uh,
Something that stands out.
there's a lot, I would say. Uh, like I'm gonna try to be general just because of our NDA. So probably like printers. Some printers, by the way, once you attach your phone to them or you send like one photo to them, you might think that, oh, I just submitted one photo to be printed, but actually though that printer, uh, like when you accepted those, there's kind of like a pop-up message on your phone saying, do you accept? And a lot of us really just click yes. So what happens is, probably like all of your photos will be found on those printers. So you just submitted one to be printed, but actually you'll find the whole the whole photos on your phone at the printer. That was kind of one of weird print, like weird scenarios. Another one probably was a, a pet kind of IoT device, where our team was able to not really just kind of, by the way, find data in there and a lot of what we can see through that device, but was also able to take complete control over it and use its camera for our own needs. So imagine if you have like a pet and then you have these devices at home or you're using them to for your pet, and then someone from your neighbor or whoever really outside is able to take full control over this device and use it for whatever reason. And a lot of them, by the way, a lot of even big companies, unfortunately, I don't want to say they don't care about cybersecurity, but I would say they don't have uh, probably the great experience enough to secure these devices. So a lot of them really are unsecure out of the box.
Yeah, I think that's a problem across the entire community, right? Is when you're creating these IoT devices, security is the last step. It's the last
Mhm.
thought that happens. They're just trying to get that tech out there. So we kind of already touched on this a little bit, but is there any research that in digital forensics that's inspired you the most? Like something that you want to focus more in on or that you think needs more attention?
Definitely, like IoT and IoT, cloud, and AI are definitely three areas that I think lots of people need to uh, hop on and do more work on. Another thing which I really liked, like an interesting research to me. There's a lot, by the way. There's a lot of cool stuff. A lot of people out there are putting amazing stuff. I wish, like, I wish the day is not 24 hours, so you can just sit there and kind of go through them and learn from them. But it's only 24, so we'll have to deal with that. But another one that I really liked was a case that was presented by Mark in different venues. I attended his talk in different venues wherever he goes, and he talks about like the scenario and what happened, the investigation that he did, and his team at Arsenal Recon. Shouts out to them, by the way. Is amazing because the case was about. It's a high-profile case, and it's about evidence that was planted for like more than 3, 4, 5 years. So uh, cases like that are very complicated, and I'm a fan of. I do a lot of simulations, whether for clients, whether for my students, etc. So I do a lot of simulations. One of the things, like, I kind of struggle now to do with this case, if I want to simulate it, like, how will you simulate? So we can simulate, let's say, the activity that happened, regardless what was the activity that happened. We can do all of that. Even if it requires coding, I will be able to do that. But the problem when you look at that scenario is, how will you simulate that time? Like, how will I be able to simulate 5 years, 3 years, even 2 years? Will I be doing data generation for 2 years? It's very complicated. So that's kind of, I would say, a scenario that really stood out to me.
VR. Just use virtual reality and then just time track everything.
That's a good idea. I've never thought about that, by the way.
We have a comment that says another mention of printers. They're making a comeback. So in the previous show, we had another individual, Heather. She mentioned that she was doing a case that also dealt with a printer. So we always thought that they were innocent. We thought that they didn't hold anything. They were fine. They're just always listening, just collecting.
Always listening, yeah.
So for our listeners, can you kind of share how you stay up to date and how they can stay up to date with some of the trends and emerging technologies?
I stay really mostly up to date using Twitter, especially now. In the past, I still use Feedly. Feedly is a great software. I was lucky, I would say. I was one of those when Feedly came out. It came out immediately after Google decided to shut down their RSS kind of service. So Feedly came out at that time, and they said, if you, that was probably like more than 10 years ago. If you pay $100, you'll get a lifetime access. And I said, okay, I'm gonna do this. So I paid, and I still have lifetime access to their service. So all I need to do with Feedly is whatever blog or, let's say, website I find with useful information I want to track and keep up to date with it. Excuse me, just throw it into Feedly. But then after that, I still use it. But then after that is Twitter. So Twitter, I there's a lot of great researchers out there. Sometimes, by the way, they don't have to post like a full research. Probably like if just a note or just a comment. Those will kind of ring bells in your head, bring you ideas. maybe that you learn about like a new registry entry or some new artifact that, oh, if I look there, I can find this, stuff like that. And there's a lot of people on Twitter. I keep saying Twitter. I know it's X now, but we'll keep using Twitter. uh, a lot of people out there really post a lot of great research and great posts, talks, chats, etc. So I mainly use Twitter, and then conferences definitely are also a great source of information, and finally just Google. Keep searching until I'm sure like whatever comes to your mind. Probably if someone hasn't done it exactly the same, that but at least there's some part of it that if you find and use, it will help you with whatever you want to do. So I think those are the ways I keep staying up to date, really.
Yeah, and I think that all those platforms help you kind of step outside your comfort zone, right? Something that piques your
Mhm.
interest. I also feel like I'm the only one in this industry that uses Google Alerts still. Have you used Google Alerts?
Which ones exactly?
So when I first started my career, I wanted to figure out like how to stay up to date with like things that are coming out in the news. So I literally set up Google Alerts where it would ping me on different news articles or scholarly articles
Mm.
that come out of like whatever the topic is on my keywords. So it was like my first keyword list that I did as a digital forensic analyst just through Google. It's like set
Okay.
this up.
Probably I use Google Alerts to track the the prices for flights.
Very similar. Yeah, very similar. So, what do you think is looking ahead for us in 2024 as key developments or changes in our field?
I think more IoT, more cloud. I hope people get into AI, start really looking into this. I wish I can. I'm not an AI person. I was lucky to work with a couple of brilliant people who kind of were good at the AI part, and I'm probably good. I don't know about on the cybersecurity part, and we worked on a couple of different projects. But I am not an AI person. I wish I can get into that area and start looking into it. But AI, IoT, I mean, is definitely one. And then the last one, in my opinion, which is uh, also very important, and I really hope there's a lot of people paying attention to it, is uh, like automobile forensics, like car forensics, and those kind of things. Because a lot of our cars today are operated by computers. When you look at also a device as this big, the Flipper Zero, I mean, and I'm sure there's others probably, but probably like not publicly well known as Flipper Zero became. But I'm sure there are other people who are creating these amazing gadgets. When you can see that kind of small device can replicate or replicate a card or a key fob, and then gain access to a car. That's crazy. And also look at the when you look at the on that industry, it's not really just about the car itself or the key. There's a whole ecosystem behind it, like the manufacturer. How are they sending updates to your car? Like currently, when we are looking at updates coming for your computer, you expect them to be coming. If it's a Mac, you expect it to come from Apple. If it's Windows, from Microsoft, and so on and so forth. But when we are talking about cars, and vehicles, where are those? Do we really have a secure system that my updates to my car are really coming from them? And is anyone being able to intercept that and modify it? We haven't heard about that. We've heard about a lot of hijacking into updates for our systems, but those are companies like Apple and Microsoft, etc. Those are companies who have been working in the computer field for years. So I'm sure they have figured out ways to stay up to date and secure the systems as much as possible. There's always going to be a flaw that happens. But when we talk about car industry, the car industry probably like like maybe just 5, 10 years ago, is when the cars became like fully automated, and like all of these kind of special features and gadgets in them, which are all computerized. Do we have a secure system there? I don't know.
Well, how would you even recommend going through and validating those updates?
I really have no idea. I worked on one project with two students back in 2019, and we only really had a small budget at that time. So what we did is, and shout outs to both of them, Jenna and Michael. I hope they will see this later on, maybe. Uh, they what they did is, we bought from like a junkyard uh, an infotainment system to play with from one of like a damaged car, and Michael decided that he's going to play on his car. So we had those two systems to play with. We weren't really able to pull a lot at that time, but it was still a fun project. I'm sure both of them learned a lot, even myself. But now, and we were limited, by the way, with the tools and all of that. So now, how is that evolved? I'm sure it has evolved in a, a completely different way, and even our infotainment systems in our cars are also completely more, with more features and more like, yeah, they are more close to a computer that we have nowadays sitting on our desk, probably.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There's so many different modifications that are coming out in cars. I know Sony, it just developed a car and they're gonna be releasing that, and just the technology that they packed into that is crazy.
Hmm.
So, yeah, and it just keeps going, right? Building and
Yeah,
building and building. We want more.
yeah. One other thing, by the way, is probably gonna be. I think it's also important about the future, but it also was kind of tied with a question you asked me at the beginning. But probably I forgot about that. I don't know. Is when moving into this field and start to learning, it's really good also to learn about operating systems. I definitely believe in that, and also, excuse me, learn about tools and play around with as much tools as possible. But one thing that I really think people should spend time and look into is, like, running a tool is great and it's good and it will give you a lot of data. But what I see a lot of people and a lot of students forget that it's really you who are going to be doing the investigation, not the tool. So the tool, we don't have systems yet, I would say, because AI is changing a lot of things. We don't have a system yet that I can give it an E01 and say, hey, give me what happened. We don't have that yet. So it's still us doing the investigation. So it's very important to not just really run a tool, get some data out, but it's important to understand that data and how to use it. So a lot of people are not looking at that. So, like, you'll say, show me an executable, or show me what kind of activity this user has done. They will go and like check prefetch files or other user assist activities and say, oh, these are the executables that happened. But okay, what did they do with them? And like correlating between different data sources as well is very important to kind of tell a story. It's not just really about, okay, here is the data, and then throwing them in an Excel sheet or putting them in your report and saying, "Oh, here is here are the executables that were executed," or "Here is what was done," or "Here is the data." Try to explain it. There should be a story behind it, similar to a crime scene. There's always going to be a story. You, as the investigator, need to go back, pull that data, piece them together, and tell that story. It might not be 100% accurate, like it might not be like 100% exactly, like there might be small pieces in there, but at least it's accurate enough to prove what happened. That's, in my opinion, something very important, and not really just about I know how to use this tool or that tool. It's really not just about running tools.
Yeah, it's absolutely about telling the story and, like, getting those critical thinking skills and analytical skills together to like lay out the entire timeline. One of my favorite resources that I ordered for all of my analysts on a program is Brett Shaver's The Suspect Behind the Keyboard.
Mm.
And I think that that book does a really good job of laying out why we need to, how we're interpreting the data that we're seeing and telling that storyline. I know he released another addition to that. I don't have that
Yep.
one yet. So, Brett, I'm sorry, I'll order it. I'll put it
Yeah,
on the list for
shouts out to
Christmas.
Brett for all of the great work he does.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. I
Thank you
think
too.
that it was wonderful to have you close out the show. I love the energy that you bring. And
Thanks.
I'm hoping that you have a happy holiday season.
You as well. Thank you so much, Amy. And thanks to everyone who's listening. Wishing you a great 2024. Lots of forensics.
Lots of forensics. And I just want to say thank you to everyone who's been joining us for the 12 Days of DFIRmas. This short podcast series was a little bit of a spurt for us, but I'm so happy for everyone who has participated. We had some amazing guests on the show. And I hope everyone has a happy and safe holiday and see you in the new year. All right.
See you.
Thanks, Al. Bye.
Bye bye.